All right, guys. This is Warren Williams from Warren Williams Coaching. All right. Today, I'm going to talk about the importance of functional exercise. One of the things that's really, really important about functional exercise that a lot of people don't know, hence why they're still actually using resistance machines, is that when you use functional exercise from a calorific point of view, or from the amount of energy your body's using when you're exercising, you're actually burning more calories. I'll explain why. Basically, if you look at it between two systems, you got what we call machine training, which is using isolated machines that are just bolted to the floor that have no functional component. These machines, because they're bolted to the floor, there's no your body is so safe, and people think, well, that's a good thing. Well, it isn't, because if your body is safe, that means there's nothing to stimulate your nervous system, your fight flight system, your awareness. Sometimes you go into a gym and you see people sitting down on a machine, like reading a book. And I'm serious, I've seen people in gyms reading books while they're training. They're sitting there, they've got the book in their hand, and they're kind of like doing like a shoulder press with the machine while they're reading the book. Now, that means there's no mental stimuli, to activate the muscles. So from a mental point of view, you're not challenging your muscles. And anyone that studied anything about sport or performance, you always have to put your mind into the action itself. So that's one thing. Another thing about machines, like I said, is they're bolted to the floor. So because they're bolted to the floor, there's no stabilization needed. So when we talk about stabilization, what we mean is your ability to control your own center of gravity over your own base of support. So an example would be if you're walking down the road and an unstable surface such as the pavement moves from underneath you, and you kind of correct your balance, you kind of wobble a little bit, and you can correct yourself. That's being able to control your own center of gravity over your own base of support. That is what you do every single day. That's functional. That's stability. If you're walking on ice, like over here in England, a lot of in January we had a lot of snow. So when you were walking in the snow, you're so aware of the ice when you're putting your foot on the ground. So when you place your foot on the ground, the awareness to your mind says, okay, the ground is slippery, it can be dangerous, it could hurt if I slip. So your awareness increases. So because your awareness increases, you step with more control, and your awareness prevents you from slipping, or you want your awareness to prevent you from slipping. So that's stabilization. That's just an example. Um, so when you're on a machine in the gym, you go from having to be aware when you're crossing the road, looking out for cars, aware if you're walking on ice, aware if a pavement slab moves underneath you, to going into a gym, sitting on a machine where there's no awareness and no stability, because the machine's bolted to the ground, as I said. So because of that, you're already going to get a deficit in the amount of attention that the muscles need. So just from that standpoint, the benefit of machines drops straight away. The other things about machines. So getting back to the calorific part of it. Now, for every machine you use, you're only going to be using about 3 to 6 muscles per muscle group, or per exercise on a machine, because the machine is isolating, in that you're only just working your arms independent of your whole body, or just working your chest independent of the rest of your body, or your legs independent of the rest of your body. So there's no coordination between the brain to the arms and the legs and the trunk all at the same time. So you're not going to get a great benefit from the machine, because it's shutting down the way your body works. When you walk down the road, when you walk, if your right arm goes forward, your left leg goes forward at the same time, or what we call counter rotation. So the arms and legs work in concert. Your brain communicates with the arms and legs as you drive the trunk forwards to create that movement, that walk-in movement. So that doesn't happen on a machine. And if you're only working 3 to 6 muscles, that means only 3 to 6 muscles are consuming energy or demanding energy from the foods that you're eating. So from a calorific point of view, you're burning less calories. Now, if you were working out functionally on, like, say, a Swiss ball, the Swiss ball itself, because it's round, it's going to spit you off. It's going to throw you off balance because it's constantly moving. So your awareness has to increase. Like if you try kneeling on a Swiss ball, your awareness is going to increase tremendously, because as soon as you kneel on that ball, straight away you'll get an added movement from your weight on the ball, pushing you from side to side. So in order for you to right yourself constantly, you can't rest. And because you can't rest, the muscles are constantly working. So in this respect, you're going to be burning so many more calories because you're using up to 200 muscles per minute per exercise. So there's a tremendous amount of difference. What would you rather do? Work 200 muscles per exercise or 3 to 6 muscles per exercise? And also because of the fact that you're stabilizing, you're working what we call the tonic postural system, which is the balance system, stability, posture. The other benefit about working with Swiss balls and other functional pieces of kit, such as bongo boards, the fitters, using aero bars, wobble boards, and all these sort of things, is because you're using your postural system, it improves your posture because stabilizer muscles always want to improve your posture. They always want to extend your body. Whereas if you're only working on machines, you're only working what we call phasic muscles. So phasic muscles create movement. They allow movement of the body. But stabilization or stability increases support for the moving muscle. So this is why you sometimes get people that they get injuries because they're working on machines too much. Because what happens is you're building strength that can only be used in the machine, but without adequate support for that muscle. So think about it. Let's say you start working out, and as you start working out, you can start, you start arm curling 20 pounds. You start arm curling 20 pounds, and then eventually you start getting stronger, and then you can arm curl 50 pounds. But if you're only ever working out on machines, that means your body is still built to naturally support 20 pounds because you haven't trained the support muscles. So you're creating what we call a muscle deficit. And if you're creating a muscle, as one muscle gets stronger, another muscle gets weaker. So if you're being able to support 100 pounds eventually, or sorry, being able to lift 100 pounds eventually, the stabilizer system is still only able to support 20 pounds. So now you've got an 80-pound deficit. Now think about it. If you really start to get stronger, 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 the support system, which hasn't been challenged, is going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. So what will happen? Injury. And that's why you see so many people in gyms and also in sport that are injured because they're strong without adequate support. So like well-renowned conditioning coach Paul Chek always says, you can't fire a cannon from a canoe. You can fire a cannon from land, but you can't fire it from a canoe. Why? Because a canoe is too unstable to support the great force of a cannon. So you need something equally as strong to support that cannon. So hence the benefit of functional exercise. If you can do like press-ups on a Swiss ball, that means you are able to support whatever force you're generating. So your stabilizer system meets your supports or your movement system. So that way they're both balanced. It's not, you know, stabilizer system down here and movement system up here. It's equal because everything you're doing is training the support system and the stabilizer system at the same time. This is how you reduce injury. And also when you're working out on a support system, such as a machine, your mind's not engaged, as I said before, and you just don't connect to the exercises. So it's really important to understand that function exercises do many things. They improve the relationship between muscle balance by making sure each muscle is working as strong as each other so that there's no imbalance. Your mind connects to the muscles because you're having to think about what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to get thrown off that functional piece of kit. You're consuming far more calories because you're using far more muscles to create that balanced approach. And it's fun because you're not, you're always aware, you're always engaged in your mind because you might fall off. And there are so many variations on these machines as well. So just giving you like a quick snippet on why it's really important to use functional exercise over resistance exercise from a calorific point of view, from a postural point of view, from a mind engagement point of view. This is why it's really important to go for functional exercise first. I'm Warren Williams. I'm going to be doing more of these webcam talks every so often. Thanks for listening. All right, bye.